is my life.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Let me try to get a game of Marvel Snap in before we go.
This is what I have to live with. This is what I have to deal with on a daily.
Mm-hmm.
We're live, by the way. Everybody's been witnessing this.
Okay. Do you want to play with me? You
Fuck
can
off.
tell me what to
Fuck
do.
off. Fuck. Oh,
I'll hold
shoot.
it up. I'll hold it up, and you can tell me what moves to make.
Nope. Not happening. Not happening, Nick. Nick, we have a podcast to do. Nick. Damn it, Nick.
It's so hard to do it backwards.
Yes. You know why? Because it's not meant to be doing that. You're meant to be doing a podcast.
No, I said retreat.
Hi, everyone. Edie here, GameHounds podcast for the most part, if Nick decides to participate.
I
are
am
you?
so hardcore gaming. I game while on the podcast for gaming.
Oh, my God.
I'm multitasking here.
Hey, bitters. How you doing? We just had another awesome intro that we always have here on GameHounds.
Yeah.
And I do want to warn you, I am rather short-tempered this week. I am super short-tempered.
Was Saturday? I know Friday wasn't good, but was Saturday better?
Ask me how Sunday was.
Sunday? Wow, you just had a bad couple days.
Guess what I did for the last 3 days?
I know you were helping someone move.
Yes.
But like you're not moving. It
no.
shouldn't be that stressful for you. You should have the ability to bounce if it gets too much.
Yeah,
right?
No.
You can't just say,
really didn't.
okay, I'm done now.
I really didn't have the option to bounce. This is a good friend of mine who's completely disorganized, didn't prep anything,
So
didn't
basically,
pack anything before the U-Haul came up.
Wait, so he didn't have like anything in boxes?
No.
How much was he moving?
A lot. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't a house, it was an apartment, but it was a very, very full apartment.
But he didn't pack.
No.
Why?
Because he didn't know that he has to pack. He'd
Why would
never
you-
moved before. He just got a U-Haul.
Does he still live with his parents?
No.
And
no,
how has he never
doesn't.
moved before?
He's always had someone else that's been moved, like he moved with that person, and now
And
no
clearly
longer
they
has that
must have
person
done
to
all
move.
the packing. They
Yeah.
must have done literally everything.
Oh yeah. They
I
did
feel
all
like-
the organization and set everything up, and he just followed orders, and now there's no one giving orders, and
I
he's
feel
not
like in that
happy about it. He's not
situation-
happy taking orders, but he's also not happy doing it his way.
I
Because
feel
his
like
way
in-
is going to take him like a month.
in that situation, you need to be like, pack your shit and I will help you move it. But like that's it.
Yeah.
Friendship has a limit.
Yeah, well, I did my best, and he did not take it well, and we ended up butting heads quite a lot when I was like, stop fiddling around, go move the desks. He did not take that well. So it was, and then of course I ended up having to spend the night at his place up in Clear Lake, which is, like
What
2.5 hours north of me.
What
Which is
happened to the dogs?
Oh, dogs went with me.
Oh.
So essentially it was moving house for a night up into this house, and it just, it was hard. It was
Okay.
so hard.
Okay. I need to warn you. If you're moving and I come to your place and find that nothing is packed, I don't think I have it in me to help you. Like, I can't pack everything with you and then help you move it. If it's all like, hey, the moving truck is here, let's go. It's like, no, I'm sorry, you need to work this out before. Yeah. Like, yeah.
it was a stress, and I literally got home an hour ago. I got home long enough for me to jump in my car. Actually, an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. I got enough time to jump in my car, take it down to go get it supercharged, bring it back, eat a burrito, bring it back, and I treated myself to eating a burrito, bring it back, and then start researching for the show. So and on top of that, I've been having. I don't know if this is a thing. I'm assuming it is, or maybe it's just a me thing because I've spent a lot of money last couple of weeks.
Mhm. What did you buy?
I bought a Tesla. But I've called them stressla dreams.
Mm.
I've been having real stress dreams every night about the Tesla, either about the price or about like scratching it or getting it into an accident or doing something to it, or something going wrong with the Tesla. It's a thing. And you know what? I didn't have these dreams when I bought the Subaru. But the Subaru was, in the 90s. It was nowhere near as expensive. And two, Teslas have a bunch of little quirks about them that make them a little more challenging to own than your average car. Like the paint is very fragile. Gorgeous paint, very fragile. The tires, very challenging to park with because if you bump up against a curb, you get curb rash, and that's kind of a big no-no to have on your Tesla, which I've already curb rashed them 3 times. So they didn't even make it a week before the first curb rash.
You broke the seal. You basically you peeled that thin film off of the new electronic. That's all you did. You broke it in. It is now your car.
No, every time I've done it, it has been like traumatic to me. Every single time.
But like it's only on the tire.
It's only on the tire.
The car's fine.
No,
So
it's only on it's on the wheel.
Yeah.
It's like the center wheel, which if I
the rim?
Right, the rim.
Okay.
Yeah, curb rash. So, yeah, in order to replace that, I would have to replace the whole rim. And I curb rashed the front and the back already this week. I'm still getting used to parking in the backup camera, which is, I think, my biggest problem. The Teslas are very wide, and if you've never had experience parking or using a backup camera, you kind of have to get used to using it and understand what it's telling you. And I'm trying to do that.
There's like a bunch of Tesla curb rash repair kits on Amazon.
There are a bunch of Tesla curb rash repair kits on Amazon. Agreed, there are. There are also products that you can buy that protect your curbs, your rims from curb rash, but none of them work for the 2023 Y series, Model Y. Thank you for posting it. Yeah, the Normandy. But the Normandy is the more I drive it, the more I really enjoy driving it. God, it is a nice car. So nice. Today was the first day when it actually felt like my car when I was driving it.
No, nice.
Yeah. But I drove my friend's SUV. He has a Honda Pilot, and I drove that up to Clear Lake because he was driving the U-Haul truck. Wow. Is that what my old car, is that what the vibe feels like? I'm afraid to get in the vibe now. Because it's oh my gosh, it's like this feels like a dinosaur.
The Pilot, it's not an EV.
No. Oh God, okay. No. The Pilot is exactly the opposite of an EV. It gets like 8 miles a gallon. I mean, it is a tank. It's a tank of a car. It's an SUV. Thank you for the zinc wheels. 3 easy DIY steps to fix curb rash on your Tesla wheels. Thank you. You know how you don't fix curb rash? You don't get curb rash. Certainly not in the first week you own it.
I mean, sure, but like, it's all going to happen to everyone eventually.
Actually, there are people that are like, I've never curb wrapped on tires. But, you know, that's good for you. But I was hoping to be that person, but I was not. And
Yeah.
actually, the tires don't upset me too much. Because, I mean, ultimately, if I really, really, really wanted the curb rash to go away, I would just buy new tires. Do wheels. Are they expensive? Yes. It costs probably $1,000 to buy 2 new wheels, but it could be done.
Yeah.
But
if it was
the
just the
first
tires,
scratch of paint, I'm going to absolutely have a like conniption. I'm probably gonna like go into a coma.
oh no,
Yeah,
that
I'm
doesn't
just gonna go
sound good.
catatonic, I think. And if I'd have known that I would have this, this feeling, actually, I
Mhm.
think I would have had this feeling with any car, but particularly the Tesla, because there's so many people are like, the paint is so easy to scratch. You cannot take it to a
Okay, so
you have to no rinse wash your Tesla. And I'm trying to
what?
determine. Yeah, there's new
So
rinse.
you can't take it through one of those auto car washes?
No, I wouldn't do that with any new car. I wouldn't do that with any new car.
I would
Have
definitely
you?
do
Do you
that.
know what that does to your car? Is that just me? Am
Yeah,
I
it
the only?
washes it.
No, it puts those circular like scratches in the top coat of your paint. I
I've
didn't even
never I've
I
never
didn't even
noticed
do
that.
that with the Subaru in the 90s. I wouldn't do that with the Subaru
I've
until it was
never
like well
noticed
broken in.
like that kind of paint scratch.
It's because you never look for it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't take your car through. Even the touchless ones are not a good
I
idea.
I feel like a weight is lifted off my chest just not having to worry about these things.
It's more like the NTE 3120 NSEA protector from Galaxy Quest. Yeah. Wow,
I think
there is some nerdcore right there.
look, I have seen Galaxy Quest multiple times. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I will pull it up for you.
It's a great movie. Like
Oh,
everyone should see it.
I
It's
remember when it came
fantastic.
out, the they used to, they when they release movies, they will send out like promotional packets for movies that are coming
Mhm.
out with like this, swag. And the one swag that I didn't get that I'm still heartbroken about was, remember back in the day, you would get like at 7-Eleven, you would get like collector's glasses with the different like Marvel characters or whatever movie was coming out, the different characters. We have a collector set of 6 that you could
Hmm.
get at um at 7-Eleven or somewhere like that. They released something that looked just like those, but they were all the Galaxy Quest characters. It was such a freaking throwback, and I did not get that. Sonia,
Oh,
my
he's talking about the
coworker.
scene. Okay. AC Wraith now linked to the scrape scene, which is when
Thank you.
it's okay. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what you need to do?
What?
You just take a rock or some keys and just get it out of the system.
No.
Just get it out of your
Nope.
system. Do
Nope.
it yourself. That way you don't get angry at anyone else. Just like
I will remind you of this exact conversation when you have your first child. You know
oh
what you
no,
need to do
send
to
that
that
kid.
baby? You just need to punch it. Punch it in the face. Just get over the fact that your kid's going to get hurt.
That's the
Punch that baby.
look. That's the only way they learn. No, I wouldn't. I
Punch it
wouldn't.
right in its stupid little mouth.
I wouldn't punch her. Remember, I've got 2 cats. I would use a squirt bottle.
No, no.
Stop crying.
Shut up. Shut up.
Jesus, you went in the diaper again?
Bad baby. Bad baby.
Right in your face.
Bad Nick Jr.
Oh god, that sounds like the old Nickelodeon program.
Yeah, it is. That's your kid. I'm going to call your kid Nick Jr., even if it's a girl.
Mm,
All right, shall we do a show? I need to get this over with so I can go and get some sleep.
yes.
All right. So, let us, dear friends, let's start the show.
Okay.
We only have 2 people in the chat room, really? Oh, it's Easter. Happy Easter, Nick.
Oh yeah. Happy Easter.
Yeah. All right. Starting the show now.
podcast discusses video games, modern culture, and technology, and these podcasters are big fat potty mouths. If you're younger than 18 or are easily offended, please stop this podcast now. Oh, and your mom says to take out the trash and do your homework.
Hello and welcome to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 675. We are recording this on Easter Sunday, April 9th, 2023. I'm Edie Sellers. With me is Nick Nicola. How you doing? Happy Easter, Nick.
Hey, happy Easter.
We were just, actually, I don't know why I'm saying we're talking before the show. I'm just releasing the show's raw, so you know what we were talking about before the show. I don't need to tell you. There was baby punching involved.
Baby punching, car scratching with babies. just take that baby and
just run it down the paint.
Yeah.
It is the best way to clean a car, to clean a Tesla, is to wash it with a baby.
Yeah.
Just soak your baby up and just rub it down. So, hey, how are you? How was your week? Anything good or interesting happen?
Yeah. So in a couple weeks, we're planning to, me and Rachel are planning to go to Florida because my work is shutting down for a week at the end of April. But she's going a week earlier for some personal reasons, like parents have her mom has surgery, so she's going down there to like be with her. And so I've got now like a whole week of trying to feed myself, and we have to try to find a way to sell a ticket that you bought to a play we were all going to go see.
Yeah. Anybody want to go see Clue the musical in San Francisco on a Tuesday night with us?
Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah. Just let me know. I got a spare ticket. So,
but other than that, I'm just playing games.
Yeah,
playing a lot of games. Watching. Oh my God. Last year, I feel like was a banner year for horror movies. Just like a genuinely good to great horror movie almost every month. This month, like the two movies that I've read reviews that are like, this is one of the scariest movies you'll see, both ended up being like one of the most ungodly, boring, terribly made, just like pieces of crap I've ever seen.
Really?
And
what are their names?
First one was Skinamarink. I think I mentioned that on the podcast earlier, where the whole movie is, I can at least respect Skinamarink because
Nick's girlfriend, he said Nick's girlfriend's appearance was a red herring.
When did I tease her appearance?
I think he's saying that you maybe don't have a girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I can at least respect Skinamarink because it's like they purposely, it's a story about kids trapped in a house with like a paranormal entity. And the way it's shot, you never see anyone's face. You barely even see their bodies. It's just like shot of a wall and you hear people behind, shot of a doorway and you kind of see it opening and you hear footsteps going in. And it's bad, it's boring, but it's at least interesting in a bad and boring way. The Outwaters is just fucking terrible.
Really?
It's a story about some people go out into the desert, found footage horror of people going out into the desert to film a music video, and things kind of turn nightmarish. I honestly could not tell you anything that happened. I think they get stuck in some kind of time loop. Where it's like, oh, they look up and there's like a guy standing against the horizon with a little hatchet, and I think he might kill some people, but then they wake up the next day like covered in blood, and they kind of just walk around the desert for a bit, and then something happens and he wakes up the next day again covered in more blood. But the whole thing, imagine if you will, like close your eyes,
imagine if you will. All right,
a pitch black scene pitch black. Now imagine a little light the size of the hole in my hand, just like that. And that is all you see. It's pitch black because they're in the desert, and he's got a flashlight that's that small, just like going around the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking at. Like the light is so tiny, I don't know what you're trying to highlight. I assume you're trying to scare me with something, but I'm so confused that it's just boring. Yeah. It's it takes like 40 minutes before you get to anything relatively spooky. It's just 40 minutes of these not even assholes. Like, right, some horror movies you're like, God, these characters suck. I want to see them die. They're not assholes, but they're not interesting. They're just boring. Just boring people doing boring things in a boring desert. And then even when it all goes to hell, I'm like, okay, I think someone got hurt. I don't know how. I don't know why.
AC Ray posted from the IMDb user review. This movie is somehow very comparable to Skinamarink, and that's not a good thing at all.
Oh yeah. If this is a trend in horror movies, if the new trend in indie horror movie is like, let's not show anything. Let's try to make it as confusing, abstract. Let's make it atmospheric. Look, I love horror movie snobbery shit. Like the whole like elevated horror movies. I think
Yeah.
it's a terrible term, but like I like those type of movies. Things like The Witch and Hereditary. I love me some good elevated horror snobbery bullshit. But this stuff, oh my god. I watched it, I rented it, and I got halfway through one night and fell asleep.
Oh wow.
And the next night I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this. I started, I had to like rewind 20 minutes and I started watching it. I got like 40
a
minutes
cast
in.
full of Joshes from the quarry. Yes. Yeah.
I got like
Anyway.
yeah, 40 minutes in the second night, and I'm like, okay, fast forward. At a certain point, I'm watching it going, okay. And I had the same feeling with Skinamarink, where I'm watching it and I feel like I've been watching it forever. And I think to myself, this could either go on for 10 more minutes or 10 more hours. There's no sense of rising or falling action. There's no sense of pacing. It's just kind of repeating itself over and over again. And it's like, I could be here for 10 minutes or like, this is my life now. I don't know which. Thankfully, with the Outwaters, I could fast forward. And so I'm just like, okay, fast forward to like the last 5 minutes where the guy cuts off his penis.
What?
He's in the desert walking around naked. He's been like walking around naked for the past hour. He finds a shark tooth, and it's like, okay, you got a shark tooth. And the first thing he does with that shark tooth, slices off his dong. Why? Like, is he rejecting his manhood? Is it like it's?
You are
like,
way overthinking this.
I don't even know what it's trying to say, or if it's just like, if the director was just like, "Yo, I found this really cool prop dick. I want to find a way to use it. I will use this in my movie one way or the other because it looks so good." And it's really, hey, look, truth,
Right.
it's a good looking, like, severed dick.
I on that same level, my next door neighbor came back by, we have our little conversations on my front porch, and he came by my front porch and sat down and pulled out a cigarette and says, "We just got back from seeing Dungeons and Dragons movie." And I'm like, "How was it?" And he says, "It could not have been worse." Oh
Really?
my God. Absolutely insultingly bad. Oh yeah, he hated every minute of it.
What did he say about it? What did he
Just said it was slow, it was stupid, none of it made any sense. He had a lot of I at that point, once I just remembered him saying it could not have been worse. That was that moment when I'm like, all right, I'm gonna remember that to tell Nick. Hated that movie. Hated it.
Well, now
You are one
have,
of the few who actually really liked it.
no, that movie has been getting rave reviews everywhere.
Has it?
Yes.
Mm.
Let me look up the Metacritic.
He hated it. Hey, we got now 3 people in the chat room. God, it's slow today. It's got to be Thanksgiving. I mean, not Thanksgiving, Easter. It's the Easter, I think, that's doing it.
Yes, 72 on Metacritic, which is generally favorable. Rotten Tomatoes, Honor Among Thieves. It's a 90% on Tomatoes, on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
He really didn't like it.
See,
Coincidentally, that same day, I heard the review on NPR, and they hated it too.
okay, then maybe you shouldn't see it because it seems like all the people you listen to don't like it.
All the people I know, other than you,
All the people
hated
you
it.
know don't like it, but it seems that 90% of the rest of the world has enjoyed it.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not going to go see it because it's in a theater. So there you go.
Did you ever see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, Kevin worked on it. Had to see it.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Okay, then you'll like Honor Among Thieves.
All right. So what did you play this week? I didn't play anything other than Battlefield because helping friend moving.
Yeah,
that was my weekend.
I actually played quite a bit.
Yeah, I played box Jenga is what I played.
Yes, packing Tetris.
Packing Tetris. So yeah, what did you play?
I actually finally finished Atomic Heart, and that game has what you think of as a stereotypically Russian ending.
Okay.
In that it sucks. there is nothing good. You have there's 2 endings. There's 2 endings.
All right.
There's a bad ending.
And
there's a worse ending.
Oh God, I hate movies I hate games that have that don't have an opportunity for you to actually have a good ending.
Yeah, and
especially when you put that much time into it.
Yes, and what's most annoying is the bad ending, which is like the proper, feels like the canonical ending, is like, oh, you get to the end, you have this big boss fight, you kill like the main bad guy, and then there's like a twist that comes out of nowhere where someone else turns on you and goes, now I'm taking control and taking over the world so that I can kill all of humanity. And it's like, where did that come from? Nothing in the rest of the game built up to that in the slightest.
Deus Ex Machinima to start a a sequel.
Yes. But the final boss fight was really cool.
It's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on my weekend. Sorry, I'm probably going to start yawning. All of a sudden, it hit me. The wave of fatigue just freaking hit me. Like just hit me.
You want to go get some like coffee while I talk about Atomic Heart?
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some coffee. Man,
okay.
It's 2:30. Yeah, I should probably.
I mean,
it just it literally just like. And I went from being perfectly awake to like, I'm done. I have run out of steam. All right, so yeah, go ahead and talk about Atomic Heart. I'm gonna go put like some Atomic Heart gameplay on it so that you're not all by yourself and a great giant face filling the screen, and you can continue talking. I'm gonna go make some coffee. Yay, Nespresso! I'm gonna make some good ones too. I have Jamaican blue coffee. I'm gonna go make some Jamaican blue. Okay, cool.
Okay,
all right.
So yes, the final fight was really, really good because the way the upgrade system worked in that game is you can refund any upgrade that you get. So let's say I invest a lot in the ability that shoots out ice to freeze enemies, but I've gotten to a boss where that doesn't matter. What should I do? Well, I can refund all those upgrades to get all those points back and then invest it all into mass telekinesis, where I can lift someone up and slam them into the ground. And that's a really cool feature of the game, to be able to respec your character for free at any time. For the most part, you don't really need to do that because the game is, it's not super difficult, and you get so many resources throughout it that you can you upgrade you can get most of the way through filling all the upgrade trees by the end. But the last fight was really cool because I had to do that. I had to respec my character. I went into it early on. I got this ability that if I use a health pack, it will heal me a little bit and then automatically heal me all the way to my full health. And that's great throughout the game because it means if I get into a scuffle, then afterwards I can just use a tiny health pack and eventually I'll get all my health back. And it's fine because I'm walking, exploring the world. I'm not getting into fights constantly. But when I'm in the middle of a boss fight, that ability is kind of pointless because they're hitting me so often and so hard that if I use a health thing, I don't have the 30 seconds to wait for it to heal all the way back up. So get rid of that upgrade, invest in just maximum health, using your your health packs with one hand, which allows you to keep shooting while you do it. Invest in speed so that I can run faster. Respec the weapons to be more do more elemental damage, and then craft like actual elemental canisters that I can put into the weapons, which is not something I did throughout much of the game because it just wasn't that hard enough that it was necessary. But taking all those together, it led to a cool moment where the first time I fought the final boss, I just kind of got my ass handed to me. I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again. And I tried a second time, knowing what I was doing, knowing kind of what to expect, still got my ass kicked. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to take some extra items, take some items that decrease the damage, take some items that increase my damage, did a little better. And then I went about respecking, and it felt like a cool, almost Dark Souls style tinkering where, with the Souls game, you're mainly trying to learn the patterns, and that's what you're tinkering with every time. But being able to go into a fight and realize, okay, I'm trying to outrun these lasers, but I'm not moving fast enough. Well, there's an ability that lets me run faster. So how do I do that? I'll get that one. And it feels so nice to just be able to tinker with your character in a way that really, really satisfyingly, I don't think that's a word, but covers the gaps in your ability. And the fact that the game allows you to do that for free makes it feel surprisingly RPG-esque. It actually felt like, oh, I'm changing my character. I'm customizing my character. I'm not just upgrading a skill tree. I'm like thinking about what do I need for this situation. And that's a cool feature that unfortunately the rest of the game just never really leaned into. And there are a lot of sections, mainly as you go through the game, you've got organic enemies and mechanical enemies, robots. And so you can kind of customize some weapons to do more damage to organics or do more damage to robots. But I kind of fell into this camp of I'm going to have my electrical gun increase damage to robots. I'm going to have my bullet guns increase my pistol, do more damage to organics. I'm going to have a shotgun that does damage to organics. And so I had kind of specialized each weapon. So I didn't need to specialize my character in that specific way. And that was neat. But yeah, the final fight, I think, is an indication of what that game could have been, in that it allows you to respec your character in a way that just makes it feel customizable, more RPG, less generic shooter, and more like actual kind of character customization shooter. So if there ever is a sequel, I highly look forward to playing it.
No,
because I think
I think I'm going to pick it up this week. I think I'm going to pick it up.
Like the melee combat feels really good. It's just like a fun feeling game.
Mm-hmm. So I have my coffee. It's not exactly coffee. That is 6 shots of espresso.
Holy shit. and AC rate. It's then the ending turns all babies into car sponges.
I almost put espresso up my nose.
I saw that.
Oh man, that was close. I kind of never mind. This is just fatigue. Started to talk. I'm like, I know what I can get Nick for Christmas. I can get him a car sponge shaped like a baby.
Do they make those?
I could make one. I could shape a car sponge into a baby.
Sure.
Anyway, all right, moving right along. What else did you play?
Moving along, I played a game called Loop Hero, which is a new game on Game Pass.
Yes, it just came. In fact, I was reading about that earlier. That and Minecraft Legends and something else was added to Game Pass.
Yeah, I was only interested in Loop Hero because I've actually thought about getting it on the Switch, where it came. It was only available there at first, but now it's on Xbox. So Loop Hero is a roguelite RPG that kind of plays itself. What's neat about it, and what I think avoids a lot of my frustration with roguelikes in general, is that it's the kind of hi Shepard. It's the kind of game in which you go through, you collect resources, but every loop you get this chance to either leave and keep all your resources or push a little further and see if you can complete one more loop.
Do you want to take what you got or you want to go for door number 2?
Yeah. And so it creates a very satisfying loop. So basically what the game is it's like a 2D auto-scrolling RPG. You have a tract of land, and that tract of land is randomly generated each expedition that you go on. It starts with just a bunch of wasteland tiles that maybe spawn some slimes. You kill those slimes, and maybe you get some equipment, like a sword or a ring, or you get a environmental tile. And that tile is something you can place on the tract of land. It's like either a mountain that's a resource, either a meadow, maybe it's a cemetery, maybe it's a blood grove, maybe it's a vampire mansion. But each piece of land kind of changes the world a little bit. You put a vampire mansion, that allows vampires to spawn into the game, which, hey, that makes it a little harder, but that also means you get better loot from them. If you get a mountain, that gives you more HP every loop. And so you want to put mountain tiles next to each other because the more adjacent, the more HP you get. And so as you go along and you start killing enemies, you get every loop, you get the enemies rank up, and so you start getting better and better equipment. You get a level 2 sword, level 3 sword, and so on and so forth. And you get different tiles. Oh, a grove that does this. I can add a spider's nest. I can add a goblin camp. But then some of the environmental things then add enemy buildings. If you put 9 rocks together, it makes a mountain, and that spawns a mountain harpy on the map. And so
essentially it's a loop, but you get to a certain extent control what's going on the map so that like if you get a bunch of really good cards that that you're going to get a ton of XP, you might want to roll the dice and try it one more time, but that it's going to be more difficult when you do it.
Yes.
But you will get much better stuff from it.
Yeah.
So you're building the map while you're building your character.
Yes. And the eventual goal is every time you place a tile, you get like a little sliver in a meter that feels toward the boss. So as you place more and more tiles, that gets you closer and closer to the boss until, hey, you place that last tile and then you enter a boss fight. I've been able to do that once, but the boss killed me, but it was so close. So close. But the way the game, you go through a loop. You start at a camp. You go through this environment that you build filled with enemies. Maybe you'll get a card that's Oblivion, which will destroy something. It will destroy a tile. So if you're coming up on a tile that has like a bunch of spiders and a bunch of vampires, and you think, I can't beat them. If you have an Oblivion card, you can use that to wipe them off the map. So you do all this, and then you finally extract. You take all those resources back to camp, where you
Mhm.
can then build out your camp, and that leads into the story, which is this kind of interesting fantasy world in which the game acknowledges like everything is gone. The world has been wiped from existence, and your character seems to be all that's left. But then they go out on this expedition and they find, oh, there are these goblins. And like the first time you meet a goblin, it goes, oh, who are you? Where did you come from? Goblin has to rob you because that's what goblins do. And it tries to rob you. And you go back to camp, and the people talk about how we don't know what happened to us, but now we're here. And it's this weird world that things appear if you remember them. No one can remember anything,
Mhm.
but the more they remember, the more things appear. And that's the narrative justification for, improving your base. Let's say you create farmland. It's like, well, you remember a farmer, and that gives you the ability to make a farmland. And the characters even acknowledge, like, oh, if we put two rocks next to each other, then it's like the world begins to remember itself, and a third rock will appear.
Mhm.
And it's this really abstract but kind of cool idea that provides a narrative justification for this mechanic of like creating the world as you run a loop.
Right.
So I'm really curious to see where it goes. It's not a hard game
Mhm.
because each run is like 30 minutes.
Oh.
But it's an auto playing game, so it's
Right.
not like you have to have any grand skill to play it. And so it creates a nice, relaxing, I'm going to go for a loop. Oh, hey, look, I got a new sword. Let me compare the stats. Do I want to keep it? Do I not want to? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Fight some guys. Okay, now I've got this. Oh, I want vampirism because vampirism is a really good stat. And it's just a nice, kind of
Mhm.
chill game. And the
AC Wraith
controls.
did not like it. AC Wraith says it's been on PC for ages. It was free on Epic a while back.
Hmm,
I liked finding tile interactions, but overall found it a grind.
I can see the grind
Yeah.
because it's a lot of go out, get some loot, come back to upgrade. But I find that grind to be pretty entertaining so far.
Mhm.
Um, but oh yeah, the controls on console are really, really good.
Really?
Really good, like really snappy. I find myself every time I get a new piece of loot, it's like it's so easy to just pop open the menu, compare new sword to old sword. Do I want to keep it? Yes or no? Leave. And like I've gotten into this rhythm where, oh, I've got a new piece of mountain. I'm going to go put that resource down. Oh, I got a new weapon. I'm going to compare it. And it's just manages to be really, really snappy and quick in a way that kind of keeps you going with the grind. It never feels slow and tedious because, oh, I'm always getting something new to put down.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm really enjoying my time with it.
Good. Anything else?
Yeah, I played John Wick Hex, which I wanted to play a couple weeks ago after I saw John Wick 4, but
Mhm.
I was like, I need to finish Atomic Heart. It's a turn-based, hexagonal, tile-based John Wick tactics game.
Okay.
It's a very weird thing. It's
Yeah.
got a really cool core to it though. That like once I got into its rhythms and I kind of realized the pace that it wanted me to play at, I started to think this is really neat. It's a very indie game. It's from the maker of Thomas Was Alone.
Oh, okay.
Um yeah, the way it works is it's a turn-based game, but it's
Mhm.
not turn-based in that I go, then you go, then I go, then you go.
Right.
Instead, you choose your action, and then everyone takes their turn at once. So I'm going to take an action. Everyone goes. Well, actually, no. That's not really the case. I'm going to take an action, and that action has a specific time associated with it. So if I choose to shoot someone, it has zero point 0.5 seconds of like wind up time, where I'm
Mhm.
going to take my time to aim, and then like 0.8 seconds of shooting. And so that appears on a little timeline at the top of the screen where it shows, okay, this is how long the windup time is, and then the execution of this attack is going to happen in red.
Mm-hmm.
Any visible enemies also appear on the timeline. Their action appears on the timeline. So if they're walking towards me, I can see, oh, their movement will take this half second, and it will end like before me or after me.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens a lot is, let's say there's a guy who doesn't have a gun, and he's coming up to me to attack. I could go up to him and close the distance, but what that means is my movement might end after his movement does. And so
Mhm.
that means that he will be able to begin an attack action before I do, which means he'll be able to execute that attack action before I do. So instead, I'm going to move up just like a tile before him, and then I'm going to wait for him to get a little bit closer so that he is then within my range of attack for a melee attack, but his turn hasn't ended. So that means if I begin a melee strike, my melee strike will execute before his does.
Mhm.
And so it's a lot of time management in a turn-based game. And what it gets really interesting is when you have multiple enemies around, because now you have to think, okay, this guy's walking towards me. I can shoot the guy behind him, but that means in the time it takes me to shoot him, he's going to close the distance and begin his attack on me. So what do I do then? I can let him close that distance and begin his attack and then try to dodge out of the way, or I can shoot the guy behind him, and if his attack is just far enough away, I can then throw my gun at him, which is a very fast action, to stun him, take that step forward, and then execute on him. But oh shit, now another guy shows up and he's about to shoot at me. Do I have time to pick up my gun, or should I instead try to move behind cover? Because what's neat about the game is oftentimes you'll get into a situation where someone is going to shoot you and like you're out in the open. So you
Mhm.
can't stop them from shooting you. But the game applies a penalty to anyone if you're moving. So if someone's
Mhm.
about to shoot you, you just move. Just like move out of the way. You might get hit, but that movement itself applies a penalty to the shot.
Right.
And so you get into some cool situations where that feel very John Wick-esque, where, oh, I threw my gun at a guy and then I punched him, and then the guy was about to shoot me, but then I walked behind cover and he missed because that moving. And so then I circled around and got him from behind. It's like, oh yeah, this feels really good. And it's a strange tactical game. Surprisingly difficult, but I'm kind of enjoying it because it does allow you to get into these situations where it's like, oh man, I'm overwhelmed. How do I want to deal with this? And funny enough, in the same way that some of the later John Wick movies especially feel very video gamey in that, dude, just, the enemies just keep spawning. It's like, oh my god, where are these guys coming from? Same thing in this game where I'm just walking around a bar
Mhm.
and someone spawns from this stairway, so I shoot them. And then someone else spawns from like behind the bar. I'm like, oh god, okay, I'm gonna shoot them. Then someone else spawns from the stairway again. It's like, well, I don't want to shoot him because I only have a certain amount of ammo.
Right.
What's also cool is you begin with like a custom handgun,
Mhm.
but that ammo is limited. And so at a certain point, you'll run out. And you then have to switch guns to start using what the enemies have. Because every time you kill an enemy with a gun, they drop it. So I'm dropping a gun that has 2 bullets to pick up one that has 10,
Mhm.
shooting 3 guys, then dropping that gun to pick up another one, shooting a bunch of guys, then dropping that gun.
Mhm.
And it's an interesting loop. What I think is kind of funny is that it's very much an indie game because the animation is kind of janky. After each level, you have the ability to watch a replay of that level. Okay, oh yes, on the video, you're watching the replay of it. It looks so funny because like you're running along these hexagonal lines, which are they're not straight.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the animation is kind of janky. The pause that it takes for him to shoot is he turns around, stops, aims at a guy for what feels like a long time, and then shoots. And
Right. And he's not running, he's walking.
yeah, he's
just
walking
plodding through an
everywhere.
action scene.
Like at that moment, in the scene that just happened, he turned a corner, was like point blank range with the guy, and they both just stared at each other for half a second before John Wick shot him. And it's the kind of concept that is neat in theory, but I think it requires maybe a couple $100 million more of
Yeah.
animation. If you got a Naughty Dog,
If
to
you
do
got this
something
to
like
look like, what was the movie, the kung fu movie that was supposed to feels like a John Wick film? You have to beat. You gain years. Is it of your
Sifu.
life? Yeah, Sifu. Yeah. If they made it look like Sifu at the end, there's a couple of different Wick-esque movies or Wick-esque games that all of them look better than that.
Yeah. And like, look, it's a turn-based game, so it's not supposed to kind of look like that. Like Sifu was an action game.
Right.
But
the render at the end should still look like an action game.
Don't have the ability to watch a replay.
Right.
So it's one of those things that every time I don't usually watch the replay because it looks dorky, but I just think like, oh, this doesn't look like a John Wick thing. But surprisingly, it's able to kind of capture the pace and the movement of a John Wick fight within a turn-based game, which I think is interesting. Like, it's kind of fascinating just from a design perspective.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm this is not my game. I mean, it looks fun, but it's not my game. There's if it looked, if it had the render at the end that rewarded you by seeing a really cool action film, then yes, I would probably play it. But the fact that you don't get that visceral like reward, that feeling that you have made yourself a really cool action film that you want to show somebody else, like, check this out. It doesn't. It's a lost opportunity for this game.
Well, like the thing is that reward is there. It just happens as you play the game, right? When I'm choosing to move as a guy shoots me and he misses and I get behind cover and then I wait for him to walk by and then just pop him in the head the moment he's exposed, that feels cool. Or like the moment I stun one guy and then I throw my gun at another, then hit the other guy who's stunned to knock him out, then go back to hit the other guy who I threw my gun at, that juggling of multiple enemies and their timelines and having it all execute really well, that feels really good. It looks stupid when they play it back, but the feel of it as I'm playing
it shouldn't look stupid
is
when
cool.
we play it back. That should be the ultimate reward, that you get to see this really cool action film rendered really gorgeous and feels like, an action film. Feels like a John Wick film. It should feel like that at the end. Anyway, happy Easter from Adrian Hernandez. He says that, and I'm barely staying awake right now. All right, so anything else that you played before we get into?
That's all I played.
All right, cool. So I'm not even going to ask. Let's hit the news. Come on, there you go. This is let's do it. All right. What are we talking about? Where am I? Who am I? Where's my pants? First item is, go ahead, Nick. I'll just continue on. I'll keep it up.
Hang on.
That's
I'm
fine.
trying to get my hand out from the cat.
All
okay.
Right. Oh, I'll just start. I got it. All right. So, let's see. First item for me is, I don't know if you remember. Oops, shoot. I haven't even taken this stupid game. God, I'm so tired. I can't even function at this point. All right. So you remember last week? You might not remember. Last week, there was this thing that happened with Ark. So there was an announcement that Studio Wildcard, who makes Ark Survival Evolved, that they were going to release a new big remaster called Ark Survival Ascended, which sounds awesome, right? Like everybody was like, "Woohoo, we're getting a
Is that like an
remaster."
expansion or is that like the sequel?
That is it's a big remaster. Ark Survival Ascended.
Okay.
They also announced that Ark 2 has been delayed till 2024, which didn't surprise anybody because nobody's even seen anything of Ark 2. Keep that in mind. Ark 2 is announced. Nobody has seen anything about Ark 2.
No, wait. I remember this. I remember we've seen something from Ark 2. We saw a video with Vin Diesel.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I think
But
there's just like a
there's no
pre-rendered
gameplay.
video.
There's been no
God.
gameplay.
No.
So anyway, with the announcement of the remaster of Ark of Ark Survival Evolved called Ark Survival Ascended, they also announced that Ark Survival Evolved's servers would be shut down as of August 31st.
Hmm.
And if you like Ark Survival Evolved, you will have to go to Ark Survival Ascended. And you have to pay for it.
Oh, really? You have to pay to transfer?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, actually, let me pull up my name again. So, that was last week. Essentially, here's what the plan was: is that if you want to play Ark Survival Ascended, which is the only thing that you can play after August 31st, you had to buy a bundle which also contains Ark Survival 2 or Ark 2. All right. The one that nobody really knows
So in
anything
order
about
to
it,
keep
and it's
playing Ark, you have to buy its sequel.
right.
Hmm.
And that is going to be $49.99. On PS5, you could buy it for $39.99. On top of that, you have to buy all the expansion packs.
Why?
That was just, they announced that, and it went over not well with the Ark community. The Ark community is not, the biggest, but it's certainly significant, and these people play a lot of it. They have a lot of time invested in it.
It's an ongoing game. And so you're basically saying, hey, this is an ongoing game that you bought. Sorry, you can't play it unless you buy it and its sequel.
Right.
Like
You buy
basically
its remaster and its sequel.
It's holding the game you already bought hostage unless you pay more.
Right. So it didn't go over well. Got a lot of criticism.
Good.
So yeah, and I'll give credit. Studio Wildcard responded immediately
Okay.
by raising the price.
Oh my god.
So now Ark Survival Ascended is going to cost $59.99 instead of $49.99. But good news, it won't include Ark Survival 2.
What?
But it's going to include all the expansions.
Didn't it already include all the expansions?
No, you had to pay more for the expansions.
Oh my god.
So this was their quote. We recognize how combining Ark Survival Ascended with Ark 2 and requiring further DLC upgrades wasn't optimal, especially since you wouldn't be able to judge Ark 2 as no gameplay or content would be available yet. Which is a weird thing to say because their new revamped thing includes Ark 2 as well. I mean,
Yeah.
The new version is going to make you pay even more than you did before for content that you don't even know what is good. So it's just, so I don't know what's going through the head of Wildcard, Studio Wildcard. But clearly they don't understand their fans, or they aren't listening, or that they don't care. But this is going to drive a spike into the heart of much of its community, I think.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever seen a company actually respond to displeasure about fans, like long-term fans, saying, "Hey, I can't believe you're making us buy the remaster for the same price that anybody else would, even though we've had the game and we've played it for years." And their response being, "Oh, that's okay. We'll change it and we'll raise the price."
Yeah, that it's just baffling.
Baffling. Yeah, that one was. There's got to be a reason for it. So anyway, if you are into Ark Survival Evolved, bad news for you. I'm sorry that this is happening. That they're doing this to you. But if you do play it and you're not expecting the expansion, expecting to do the expand or the remaster with anything else bundled, you're gonna only get to play until August 31st. That's when Survival Ascended is set to release. So we'll see how many people actually migrate over. Actually, I won't see, but Studio Wildcard is going to see. So I wonder if everything's going to change on that day. So anyway, yeah, bad studios behaving badly.
Well, I guess speaking of that, not
yeah,
so
Vice says,
bad.
"Wow." Yeah, that's what I thought when I heard that story.
Nothing about that makes sense. Oh,
what is it? Something about that? What does it say? Ask where the last episode audio is before she builds up a tolerance to you. I'll do it tonight. I'm going to do it. Well, I'm going to take this.
No, you're going to fall asleep. After this, you're going to sleep,
fall asleep,
and then you'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Vice asks if people can still play on private servers.
You can, but of course that's got its own limitations of being a private server. It's not optimal for a lot of players to play on private servers. But yes, you could play it on a private server. In theory, who knows? They might do something there as well. At this point, I would not put anything past Studio Wildcard.
Yeah,
they will piss on your head and tell you it's raining.
It's nuts.
All right. Anyway, your first item.
So Resident Evil 4 released some Mercenaries DLC for free, which is like this arcadey shooter kind of round-based thing where you compete and you basically go into a level, do a bunch of fights, earn some points while you're doing it. But they also added microtransactions for basically. It's hard to say if it's pay to win because it's a single player game, and so you're essentially just skipping the process of grinding.
Mm-hmm.
But you're basically buying upgrade tokens for your guns, where instead of playing the game and having to like complete each of the objectives to upgrade the gun, kill X number of people, get X number of headshots, blah 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 blah, you're just buying the upgrade.
That is pay to win.
Yes, well, it's pay to win in a single player game.
True. It's pay to pass the grind, but still, that's even almost worse. Almost worse. It's like, hey, do you want to get to the end faster? Here's some money. You give us some money, and we'll let you go to the end faster. It's almost cheating at that point.
It is like it's basically buying a cheat.
Buying a cheat.
And so it's like, oh, hey, we got this arcade mode for free, but then you added in these other kind of icky microtransactions, which like you don't have to buy it, so that's okay, and it's single player. But then it's also it's just a lot of mixed feelings.
Yeah, it's what did they used to call that? There was like hard mode, normal mode, easy mode, and then there was like cinematic mode where you wouldn't really play the game. I mean, the game would be like very little fighting and you'd never lose. You just play it to find out the story. That's what that is, but you have to pay extra for it.
Yeah, except this is an arcade mode, not the story mode.
Yeah. Oh god, even worse.
Yeah.
What's the point then? Why? Oh,
just help with the grind if you don't want to
Just
grind.
cash grab. That's all that is. Just massive cash grab.
Mhm.
Let's see. Well, it could make sense if they were behind on part 2 and need money really, really badly. Yes, about
About
that's a good
Arc.
point about Arc.
Because
Yeah,
they're
but that's
just
a really
so
terrible way to earn money. That is robbing Peter to pay Paul. How much are you willing to sacrifice the goodwill towards 2 in order to get money to make it? You're essentially sacrificing fans for cash. They don't care about Burnt Earth anymore. Well, maybe, but they better hope that if that is their thoughts, that we are going to sacrifice some of our current player base for cash to allow us to make the sequel. That sequel better be really good. And if it's not good, then they have essentially sold the goose that laid the golden egg.
I mean, not just being good, it has to expand the user base.
Right.
It has to get people that
It has to
aren't
get
playing
more
it.
people than they lost
Yeah.
and overcome bad press. Overcome that, like, you guys fucked over your fans. So yeah, there's that too. Like, do you really want to get involved with Ark? It does. Those kind of things do make me question of whether I want to get involved in the game. We will talk about it later. Crusader Kings. Crusader Kings is a game that it's a great game. I love it, but I would not have put the time and effort into learning how to play because it is not insignificant. I would have never done it if there had been this thing like, yeah, but it's a Paradox game, and they're kind of gotta. I mean, you could get really, really into it, and then they're gonna like make it impossible for you to play without like a DLC or without like buying a huge pass. The fact that Paradox knows that the reason why it's really very difficult, very hard to learn games are so popular is because of the DLC and all the perks that they give and support that they give to the game, and don't rip people off for it.
Yeah. Don't make them buy it twice.
Don't make them buy it twice. So yeah, I if anybody says, "Oh, Arc 2 is amazing," the first thing that's going to come into my head is like, yeah, but if I really get into it, am I going to have to buy it again for another $60 in a few years because they've made a remaster?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my next item is let's get more of the bad news out. Oh yeah, more stupid companies acting stupidly. So, everyone is aware of Monster Energy Drink. How could you not be aware of Monster Energy Drink? Well, Monster Energy Drink has now filed trade complaints against Nintendo over Pokemon and the Monster Hunter franchises in Japan for the use of the word monster.
Really? I heard that they were doing it against like an indie game, but I'm surprised that they would
Yes, they're
go
doing it
against.
they filed more than 100 trademark complaints.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on everything. Everything from Nintendo for Pokemon X and Y, for Pokemon Sun, Sun and Moon, Monster Hunter Cross, and also just everything. And it wasn't just big companies, it was small companies. Now, Monster Energy is known for being a trademark troll. If you recall, I don't remember when, it was a few years ago, they filed suit against the makers of Immortals Phoenix Rising because it was originally named Gods and Monsters. Even though it was named Gods and Monsters, Monster Energy Drink filed suit against them for the use of the word monster. And Immortals Phoenix Rising did change its name. They later said that wasn't the entire reason, but I'm sure that had to be part, at least maybe not the biggest part, but some of it was that they had to face down, a lawsuit. And that was Square Enix, right?
Ubisoft.
So that was Ubisoft that has attorneys. They're also doing it to small developers, and let me share that shit with you.
Okay, but like it's one thing to say, oh, this new game coming out, you should change the name. It's another thing to file that against Pokemon, which doesn't have monsters in its name, and Monster Hunter, which is an established franchise that has been releasing games in the US for a decade plus.
Mhm.
Like, there's a certain level of precedent there that they can't argue against.
So then, of course, this was followed up later with a tweet by Vincent Livings, who is a game dev, and he said, here are the overreaching settlement terms that Monster Energy sent me. Basically, it demands that in exchange for allowing us to use the name Monsters and Mortals, we agree to never name any other game, any variation of the word monster. He went on, it also forces us to agree to never use a green and white logo on a black background for any game we ever make. So they own the colors green and white, apparently, too. Any logo that has a Monster style font will be deemed confusingly similar to Monster Energy's logos. It demands that we never use one for any future games. That means they could demand that we change Dark Deception's logo as well. It can be applied broadly. They demand control over the look of Monsters and Mortals logo, and in addition to other terms, they require us to change the scaling of the words and the custom monster font style. So now they own monster-looking fonts too, apparently. This means that if we were to agree to their terms, Monsters and Mortals could never have a sequel named Monsters and Mortals. And Dark Deception, a game about monsters, could never use monster in the title forever. I would legally give them ownership of that word by agreeing. And of course, he sent this all out to Kotaku, and yeah, that got a lot of attention. So, apparently Monster Energy Drink thinks that it owns the word, or is trying to own the word monster. And here's the thing, and maybe they are filing this in Japan, and their rules differ considerably, but in the United States, you can't do that. It's pretty there's like straightforward black and white rules, black and white rules, that generic terms cannot be trademarked. So a word like monster could never be trademarked. That's why they're doing it in Japan, because they've done it here and lost.
So wait, are they suing this indie guy in Japan?
They're suing the indie guy in Japan. Yep.
Did he release the game in Japan?
I don't know. I don't know all the details of him. It says he's a horror game designer that sometimes fights monsters in real life too. Creator of Dark Deception, founder and CEO of Glowstick Entertainment. Let's see. Does it say
If he doesn't
where they filed it? I'm looking at the attachments that he had.
For Capcom and Nintendo, that would make sense.
Yeah, I don't see where it is.
From what I understand, you can copyright or trademark generic terms as long as they're narrow. Right. I can't make a computer and name it Apple.
No, yes, exactly. It's very specific terms.
So
you can't name another drink Monster Energy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to make a soda and call it Monster Cola.
Right.
But making a video game called Gods and Monsters.
Right. Like making a song called Monster Mash. Yeah. But they're doing it because
making a movie called Monster.
They're making a movie called Monster about a evil corporation that's trying to own the company Monster. No, that's not what Monster was.
There have been multiple movies named Monster.
Yeah. Won an Academy Award.
Yes.
If you're a fan of Monster Energy drink, first off, bad on you. That stuff is like poison. It's a shitstorm of chemicals you're putting in your body. It's going to make you fall apart before you're 50. But on top of that, don't buy Monster. Buy any other energy drink. Don't buy Monster. They're evil. And they're not that great. Monster's not that great. They're all the same. They're all the same thing put into different cans. It's the same thing. The first phase is with the U.S. Patents and Trades Office. Let's see, where are we talking about? Edie says this is as Edie says this as someone who's desperately needs energy right now. Drink 7 shots of espresso. Yeah. But you notice I will happily drink 7 shots of espresso. I do not like energy drinks. Not even Red Bull. I just don't. I thought they were great when I was younger, but they're just a bunch of freaking sugar and caffeine. And if I'm going to have sugar and caffeine, I'm going to get 6 shots of espresso, which is going to have more caffeine, put a little like cream in it, and throw some sugar in it. It tastes better and it's got more caffeine. Actually, I shouldn't do this because now I've got the caffeine buzz. It isn't waking me up. I'm just tired and awake now.
Huh.
Yeah. There's an anime show called Monster.
Yes, I've seen it. It's really fucking good.
Is it?
It's tense.
Mm.
It's okay. Brief aside.
Yes.
It's about this like really famous, like on the rise young doctor who's like he's about to be married to the daughter of the guy who owns the hospital. Everything is going right in his life. And one night, 2 patients come in. One is a kid that's like about to die. The other is like a famous politician. And he decides to operate on the kid. Saves the kid's life, politician dies. As a result of that, the guy who owns the hospital is like, A, you're not marrying my daughter. B, I'm demoting you. His whole life goes to shit. Like, several years later, people around him start dying. Of just like, wait, all this stuff is dying, and it's kind of like boosting him. And he's like, what the hell is going on? And he realizes the kid he saved grew up and is now kind of going on this killing spree.
To help him.
Or maybe it's also to frame him. I forget exactly what happens, but he then goes on this fucking epic manhunt to try to track down this sociopath who's got like this weird, massive conspiratorial organization behind him. And he's just like, what is this kid doing? What is this kid planning? And he tries to figure it out. I think it's on Netflix. I think it came to Netflix.
Oh,
I
wow.
watched it. I watched it fucking decades ago when I was in high school. Highly recommend.
It sounds great. It's like
it's so good.
It's taking that question of, do you save a famous politician that would be good for your reputation and good for your career, or do you save a child, and making that decision? And then it's like, okay, what if that child was a psychopath?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's on Netflix. I highly recommend it.
Okay. I will pick. I'm just finishing up on watching something on Netflix. So I've got to watch Last of Us. I gotta watch Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, next item.
Next item is, I thought I had one about Capcom.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna let you do that by yourself. Do you have one about Capcom?
Did I? No, I don't actually.
Okay, pick one that's got some time to it, because I just had 6 shots of espresso.
Okay.
And the cows have come home, just to say.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Coffee's doing what coffee's supposed to do. I'll be right back. Pick your thing so I can put up your thing.
Oh,
pick one. Pick one now, Nick. Damn it! Pick it.
Emulation.
Fine. Where's the emulation one? Rings at Studio, and console emulation. All right, I'm gone.
I like it. Put me on the spot. I'm panicking. Okay. So before recently, and I didn't know this, but apparently the Xbox Series X and S allowed users to emulate older games. Basically, you could install emulators on it for PlayStation 2 and GameCube. You can still do that with the dev kit console, but Microsoft has now removed that feature for any standard retail. And which is unfortunate, because the ability you could basically download this emulator, and then either play the game from the disc. Like if you had the disc, like a PS2 disc or something, you could run it, or you could just, a digital version of the game. And man, I feel upset knowing that I missed out on that capability, because I've still got a whole bunch of old PS2 DVDs in my closet taking up room because I can't bring myself to sell them. So knowing that there was a relatively easy way to play them would have been really cool. But yeah, now they've removed that. And it's unclear exactly why they decided now to do it, because yes, this always went against the terms of service. This was never meant to be allowed, but for years Microsoft has kind of looked the other way. But what people expect is that the crackdown came when it became more common for Nintendo to play it. Once the Nintendo for GameCube kind of became more widely available, then that triggered kind of this crackdown, which kind of makes sense because Nintendo is notorious about allowing emulation, even mods. I think there was another news story this week that we didn't mention, was someone modded, a YouTuber modded Breath of the Wild to let you play multiplayer, and naturally Nintendo's suing him to take the stuff down. So it makes sense that is why Microsoft would remove this ability to not anger Nintendo, but it's also still a shame. I'm sad that I missed out on this feature. I didn't even know it was available.
So what kind of emulation was it?
For a PS2 and GameCube. And it was basically like an app that you could install. It wasn't an app you could get from the store, but you could load it onto the console.
Mm-hmm.
It was never supposed to be allowed, but something that Microsoft kind of looked the other way about for a while, until they didn't.
Yeah.
And I also find it a little ironic that Phil, we want more people to play more games, more places. Spencer is like, hey, we're going to remove, you can't emulate games on the Xbox. We don't like that. We don't want you playing other people's games.
Right. Oh, we want you to play games. We just want you to play our games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Don't play Sony games on an Xbox. That's absurd. Who would allow that?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just kind of a shame that this neat feature, especially for an industry that is notoriously bad at keeping its history, having a console emulator, like something available on a popular console, just kind of made it a bit more accessible.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's see what the comments say. That's what they say. Microsoft escalates the war against PlayStation Nintendo emulation. AC Ray says, I may or may not have Netflix access at the moment until the location policy change takes effect. What is that? The location policy for that?
Oh, unless he's doing a VPN?
Possibly. AC Ray says, just still not sure about that. Thank you, Siri. I appreciate that. Just hire them and make an official project. A product.
That would be neat.
Yeah.
But then I don't know if Sony would allow a PS2 emulator on an Xbox. It goes both ways. They're like,
yeah, Sony definitely. I mean, yeah, they wouldn't let that happen. AC Ray said it's family sharing.
Okay, well, speaking of Microsoft and Sony.
All right.
Sony so last week, what does CMA stand for?
Country Music Awards?
No, the UK's Competition and Markets Authority.
Oh, okay, right. That's CMA.
Yes, that CMA, not the CMAs, plural. The CMA. Last week, the CMA reversed its statement about Microsoft buying Activision, saying, "Oh yeah."
Well, reversed part of it.
Yeah, reversed their statement saying that Microsoft had a financial incentive to make it exclusive.
Right,
Call of Duty-
because they were using the wrong numbers, and Microsoft's
Yeah.
like, no, these are the real numbers, and we'd actually lose a lot of money if we did that. So they're
Yeah.
like, okay, we were using the wrong numbers. So we don't disagree on that part, but it doesn't mean that we are okay with it, because I forget what the other argument was that they had, that they said that doesn't change our other concern, which is, I forgot.
Yeah. Well, the point is, Sony's pissed.
Oh
They
yeah,
got pissed off.
Sony's mad. Sony thought they had it in the bag, and then they didn't.
They're like this quote: "The CMA's reversal of its position on its console's theory of harm is surprising, unprecedented, and irrational." So what's interesting is that when they go into the details, they basically the whole argument is losing comparisons to Digital Foundry.
Mhm.
Like they mention Digital Foundry by name and make the argument that, oh, even a slight difference of platforms can have a huge impact. Oh, just go, they say it is difficult to conceive of an industry where consumers are more attuned to quality and where quality affects purchasing decisions. Call of Duty gamers are passionate, knowledgeable, and sophisticated. Which we can debate that last part.
Yeah, well,
Um,
yeah, we can also debate the other thing. You're talking about Call of Duty fans or game fans or console fans? Because console
in
fans,
general,
that's a patent lie.
What?
Patent lie.
that was sophisticated and knowledgeable.
No, that what was the first thing you said? That they are very sensitive to quality.
Oh yes.
Patent lie. If that was the case, the
No.
PlayStation 2 would have outsold the Xbox 360 by a long shot. No questions. Hands down.
No, wait, those were different generations. Oh yeah, the
Xbox
PlayStation
360
3.
and the PlayStation 3. Sorry, PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3 would have dominated if that were the case. It did not, because we are not very sensitive we are sensitive to quality to a point, but ultimately we are sensitive to price.
Yes. I find it interesting that they call out the Digital Foundry videos because I've watched a lot of those videos.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I'm looking at that side-by-side comparison going, I don't know what the fuck
I don't
this
see-
is
I don't
talking
see the
about. That looks the
difference.
exact same. Like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? I guess that leaf like looks a little bit more green. But and so it's kind of,
Yeah.
it's funny that they would bring that in going, oh, if Microsoft does so much as make a leaf a slightly darker shade of green, then Digital Foundry might catch that and say you should get the Xbox version because it's better. And kind of using that nitty-gritty, the argument that, Microsoft might make a poor version for the PlayStation was always a little flimsy. And to see them going to that degree of like, oh, if they could do this, then we might lose a comparison video and that would affect purchasing, I think exposes how flimsy it is.
It's a very flimsy argument.
Mhm.
It is an incredibly flimsy argument. It always has been.
But
And
like,
here's the thing:
it was better when they didn't have to provide examples.
Right, exactly. It's when they came out, guns blazing, and they had some arguments, and those arguments got traction. Because I remember when they went down, was it South America? It was Brazil, I think it was, that they first started with their arguments. And I said that they were looking for arguments in these smaller countries, that which of those arguments is how to have the most traction. And those were the arguments that had the most traction, because they're not going to take those arguments to things like Britain, to the United States, to the bigger countries that are more consequential to their sales prices, until they go through these smaller countries to see, okay, which of these things is going to fly a little bit more. They figured out their argument. Unfortunately, their argument doesn't hold water. They may have gotten more attention for it, and maybe in some of the countries they actually got some traction, but even in the UK, they got some traction until somebody started asking questions. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that falls apart real fast.
Mhm.
Or they started asking questions, and then Sony was like, okay, well, give us an example. And Sony starts grasping for straws. Bottom line, Sony has a lot of reasons to block this, and Sony could have made better arguments, but unfortunately, they chose these arguments, and that is a sword they are going to end up dying on. They're going to end up dying on this.
Yeah.
It's foolish of them to dig in their heels, especially when their retorts have so many flaws in them. You could drive a truck through them. They're so large.
Microsoft had said they expected the acquisition to get wrapped up in June.
Yeah.
But that's not looking to be the case.
My prediction is November.
I wonder if Sony's plan at a certain point is just to see how long they can drag it out, and if that will, like, if Activision just gets like, okay, we can't do this, or if someone at Microsoft is like, this is too much of a pain, give it up.
Yeah, fatigue, and they just
Yeah.
No, I think the only reason that I see that happen, because Microsoft's not going to give up on this. Microsoft is not going to give up on this for the same reason that Sony's not going to give up on this. They're just not. There's too much to gain. What may end up happening by dragging this out is, we all know the reason. Well, one of the reasons why this is happening. Well, we know the reason why Activision is selling.
Yeah.
Not that Microsoft is buying. We know why Activision is selling.
Well, like,
and they're looking to avoid some things that are coming down the river at them. And if they don't get rid of the company before those things hit, that one, there may not be a company to take over. And two, if they end up, catching all of the flack that they're trying to avoid, then what's the point of selling? They may just retract their offer.
Like, Microsoft bought it because their stock price tanked. They bought it because it suddenly became affordable.
Microsoft bought it because it suddenly became affordable. It suddenly became affordable, not because of the stock price so much. It suddenly became affordable because Activision wants to avoid getting caught in all of these trials. Specifically, Bobby Kotick wants to avoid being personally, in these trials, because he's on the line personally, not just his company, not just Activision, him personally as CEO. He's got his balls in a vice, and he wants to sell it before that vice closes. Now, if that vice closes and crushes his balls, there's no reason to sell.
Now I wonder, Microsoft bought it because the price went down, because
Microsoft bought it because they could, because Activision was selling.
I wonder if, like, between the new Call of Duty and Diablo 4, if the stock price could raise up to what it was before, at which point Activision would be like, well, now we're worth more than what we're selling for.
Possibly. It depends on what kind of, I think that they're probably at a state in their negotiations that the price is firm. In the same way that Elon Musk, his price for Twitter was firm enough that they made him buy it after he shot his mouth off for that price. So I think that they can't not,
like, basically, if the deal is approved, the deal will go through.
Right.
Like, regardless of anything else.
Right.
Everyone has signed papers that say the moment we get authorization, we'll go through. Neither of us can back out.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think what's probably going to happen is that once these lawsuits start to happen, the value of Activision will go down even further, especially in this market. If this was a hot tech market where, like, if this was the United States, if this was the tech market 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would say, yeah, absolutely. These two games are going to absolutely boost their stock price, and it's going to go to the moon. But that's not going to happen. Not in today's world, not today's stock market, not even next year's stock market, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, but it's going to be a while. There's just too much volatility, too much, I want to say, market correction within the tech industry. The tech industry has benefited very much from not having to make a profit. They don't have to make a profit to be like a unicorn.
Mhm.
You don't have to actually make money. You just have to be a really good idea. And that is starting to weaken. That it's like, well, if you aren't actually making money, the money's kind of dried up a little bit. We can't
Yeah,
exactly be handing it out like
the
party
idea of
favors.
let's just rack up debt while we become really popular, and then eventually we'll figure out profit.
Right,
later.
right. Airbnb being for a perfect example of that. Still losing money. Never made any money. Never made a dime of money.
That's nuts.
I know. Gotta say one thing for Tesla. At least it makes revenue. It does have actually made money. Tesla makes money. Of course, they spent it all on SpaceX, but they made money. Anyway, I'm getting into like deep financial shit that I have no place talking about. AC Ray says, I just realized the Twitch title is last week's episode.
Is it? I mean, the title we have that I see now is new.
Are you sure? You looking at the right place?
I see GameHounds Live 675 Fuck Monster.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not going to look. If you see it, then I'm not going to look because,
I mean, I'm not looking at Twitch. I'm looking at StreamYard.
Oh, no. Yeah. StreamYard says it's named that. Let's see what Twitch says. Oh, what's
Why would it be different? Because when you create it creates it for all three.
You'd think, but, it's Twitch. Shit happens. Bad things happen in Twitch. Where is me?
Anyways, while you look at that fun story about let me find the tab. Okay. Elden Ring mods have reached a new high.
It is the wrong one.
A new low.
Weird. It is the wrong one. Why? It shouldn't have. That is so strange. All right. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, there's some new Elden Ring mods, and I need to share my screen for this.
Okay.
That basically let you play has a jet plane or a tank.
Ooh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And it's fun watching these mods. So
that's awesome.
Jet plane, you can just fly around. You just fly around like a jet plane. You can do some dodges in the air.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
And what's nuts too is they rain fire. Like right now, you're watching it just vomit bullets at a boss. Just taking down its health. Like one of the bosses with the most HP in the game, its health bar is just like constantly going down. What's fun too is if you know all the game's magic systems, you can kind of see, oh, I know what spell it's using. Like its missile launches are really just like a sword spell getting spammed over and over again 1,000 times a second.
That's awesome. That is just awesome. I would play Elden Ring like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Elden Ring, I'm sure it would be way easier.
It should be way funner. Just carpet bomb an entire area.
Mm-hmm. Oh, all those enemies in the castle gone.
Oh, that's great. There are some this is just silly. Oh my god, you've got
the entire city of Landel. Look at that health. Look at that health go down.
It's trying Dragon Lord. What is it?
Placidiac.
Plandage?
Placidiac.
Placidio. Okay.
I don't know exactly.
Placido?
I've always called it Placidiac.
Yeah. It hasn't even fired off any damage at the tank. It's just felled.
Oh, that's Melania.
Oh my god, just drops a nuke on Melania.
Yep. Melania's got nothing on a tank.
Just turns the entire area into lava. Oh, this is awesome. This is
So,
also
yes.
really good for the audio show. So yeah, look that up. What's it called? It's called Elden Ring, but with tanks and fighter jets.
That's the name of the article. It's
No, that was
Elden
the name
Ring
of the article.
Broken AF Edition.
Broken AF edition.
That's the name of the mod. by Garden of Eyes.
At least they're, naming it the right name.
Mhm. And I do believe that Garden of Eyes has
Mhm.
a YouTube channel where they do a bunch of cool, like, hey, let's have this boss fight that boss and see who would win.
Oh, that would be neat.
Yeah. I've watched a bunch of them, and I do believe it's from them.
Speaking of YouTube channels, I
that up.
turned you on to a Twitch channel / YouTube channel that it's incredibly popular. I can't believe it took me this long to find it.
Yes.
Called, what was it?
Doug?
Doug?
Oh, yes. Garden of Eyes is the one that does all the like boss fight things. So check out the YouTube channel. It's cool.
Good. Yeah, Doug. Yeah. Oh, so funny. So funny. His mods are so awesome that he plays mods that interface with Twitch, the Twitch channel, so that Twitch watchers can affect his game. And he just keeps on creating these crazy ideas of like every time somebody in Twitch says the word werewolf, you have a 50% chance, or no, 1 in 10 chance that it will spawn werewolves in my game of Skyrim. And like challenges, like I'm going to try to do the first kill the first dragon, but you've got these mods available to you, and the Twitch is just trying to sabotage him the entire time. Hilarious. But yeah, Garden of Ice, there you go. Thank you for the link. Elden Ring boss v boss. Oh, all right. My next item is, sir. Hey, speaking of Diablo 4, we were just mentioned Diablo 4. Diablo 4, we have a release date official now. All right. So, where is it? Release date. Okay. Early access, meaning for if you have deluxe or the ultimate pre-order. Diablo 4 is going to release Thursday, June 1st at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
That's
In Europe, it's going to be June 2nd at midnight, 12 a.m. CEST. In Asia, it's going to be June 2nd at 8 a.m. If you have a regular version, a non-deluxe or ultimate pre-order, you're going to launch June 5th at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Europe is going to be June 6th at midnight. Asia, it's going to be June 6th at 8 a.m. So there you go. Nothing. Oh, by the way, it's also, I don't know, I'm sure everybody knows this. It's going to, when it releases, it's going to have cross-platform play and progression plus couch co-op. What was else? And and couch co-op when it releases at launch, which is cool. I'm so glad that finally it took so long, but cross-platform play is becoming the standard on multiplayer games. Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had that technology since like we started this show 12 years ago, and only now is it becoming like a standard thing.
Did I mention a couple weeks ago the interview with Epic Games' CEO about like the future of the metaverse and in actual interoperability between consoles and stuff?
No.
Oh, it's a really good interview. I forget where it was. AC Wraith, do your thing. But it was like with either Polygon or I think it was The Verge. But he's talking about like, oh yeah, it was with the release of the Fortnite Creator 2.0 that basically turns Fortnite into Roblox,
Right.
which
It
allows
becomes an
people.
engine.
Yeah, it becomes an engine that people could actually. Yeah, it was on The Verge. Thank you, AC. Right.
Tim Sweeney. Right.
Yeah, it was when they released a thing that allowed Fortnite creators more capability to create more types of games in Fortnite. But like he gets into talking about like how the fundamental pieces that make up a game, like the engine, the APIs for that engine, the code structure is kind of different, and it doesn't have a standardization, and that is what prevents any sort of metaverse thing from happening, because everything's different.
Right.
But he's like, if we could make a standard, if we could standardize it, then we could get some there. And so he's talking about, we want to create, let's say you have a cape, and you have like an API that controls its physics and all that. We want to create a way for that to be interpreted by one engine, another engine, so that they could each interpret it and recognize it, to have it port from one thing to another.
Mm-hmm.
And that is how you would get something like the metaverse, because you would actually be able to share assets across engines.
That is that whole concept of proprietary infrastructure. If you could pick one thing that has delayed the progress of technology, and I mean going back to the beginning of the industrial era, it is the race to become essentially the owner of the infrastructure. Going back to the railroads, when when railroads started, they actually had all different gauges, so none of the railroads connected to each other, because you couldn't run company X's engines on company-wise rails. And so it wasn't until everybody got together and go, okay, here's the standard, this is what we're going to use. And it was all just about being proprietary, that you didn't want your competition using your railroads.
Mm.
Same thing happens with EVs, that you've got different connectors. You got different plugs that are not interoperable.
Yeah,
like you can't charge a Tesla at a non-Tesla station. You can't charge a non-Tesla at a Tesla station. And it's a race to put. Now you can. They just started that up.
Because Tesla's just,
because they have adapters now. They allow adapters to be used, but that has delayed. Like, think about it. You've had multiple competing companies all building different networks so that they could be the ones, and that has delayed the adoption of electric vehicles. We could have had electric vehicles adopted way faster if they all used the same plug. And the only reason why the internet came into being so early and so fast, because it went from, in our lifetime, nothing to what it is today. And that is a massive leap. And it's because it was created by universities. So nobody was looking to make it their own. Nobody was looking to make profit off of it until it was released. And by then, the infrastructure was already set. And all computers talk to each other. And they didn't have their own proprietary language, where if you had this website, you could only access it using this code. And this code was only so everybody, then it became like browsers. Then it became a competing for browsers.
And so
for search engines.
Yeah. So when you mentioned crossplay is becoming a thing, it made me think of that, because reading that article and his thoughts, it presented a vision of the metaverse that wasn't, here's Facebook's controlled walled garden metaverse.
Right.
Like, that vision is more a 3D virtual environment where that's just kind of like the internet, where anyone can kind of create a mod to do something, and the engine will interpret it and present it in a way that's accessible to you.
Right.
And it was the first thing I ever read that was like, I see the potential of this. I see how you could get here mechanically and practically. Like, it was literally the only practical future for a metaverse thing that I've ever read.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely true. If you all stopped worrying about owning the metaverse.
Yeah.
If nobody owned the metaverse would be here. because then you would
Yeah.
just be building the metaverse instead of trying to like sabotage each other. Like you said, create these walled gardens. It would be the best ideas of everybody instead of the best ideas of one guy
Yeah.
who is, happens to be Mark Zuckerberg.
Who doesn't have
That's
the best ideas anyways?
Doesn't have the best. He didn't have. Dare I say, he did not have the best ideas ever. He stole really best ideas and then
Mhm.
hired some people to, make it better. But
I saw The Social Network.
he didn't. He has not invented anything. He just owns it. Case in point, it's better to own the infrastructure than it is to make the infrastructure. But honestly, yeah, true. If we were less concerned with profit, it is. I mean, I love capitalism, but that is one of the downsides. Is it does impede doesn't impede the creation of technology. It impedes the development of technology.
Oh, he just woke up from my arms and took a couple steps and just like, are you trying to wake up? You're still a little sleepy.
Yeah, that was what I did this morning. Okay,
Anyways,
next item.
Well, speaking of inventing things,
Mm-hmm.
there's some rumors about a new invention coming from Sony.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of rumors about the potential for a Vita 2. This is coming from Tom Henderson on Insider Gaming, that Sony is working on a device called Q Lite. And it's basically a handheld gaming device, but it's not a Vita. It's a specifically
Orgo.
Orgo. It's a streaming device that would basically use your PlayStation, your PS5 has the base, and stream games from there to the handheld. Now, this is already available. The remote play is the thing that allows you to do this, to stream games from your PlayStation to another device, like depending on what the device is. If it allows the remote play, you can do it. This would basically be a custom-made Sony device that does the remote play for you, right?
Right.
That's all it really is. It's taking advantage of its existing feature and streaming that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not much about it other than, rumors. It's not, I guess, from Tom Henderson's report, early prototypes show the console will look like a PlayStation 5 controller, but with an 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the center. The device supports adaptive
Does anybody
triggers
ever want to
and
watch? Does
haptic
you want to play a
feedback.
game on an 8-inch screen?
8 inches, like that's Switch size, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Not a fan of playing games on small screens.
Like this is not 8 inches.
No.
But
this is
smaller than 8 inches.
Smaller
So
than 8 inches.
It's bigger than a phone.
It's bigger, right? It's like an iPad.
Yeah.
But still, do you really want to play a game on an iPad like that? I
mean, the Switch is popular.
Yeah, I guess so.
If it's a handheld device, that's fine.
Yeah. Casey Ray says, codename the Q Lite. The next PlayStation handheld is the next piece of Sony hardware that aims to be yet another piece of hardware that requires the PlayStation 5.
I think
Insider Gaming. Yeah. Insider Gaming understands that the Q Lite is not a cloud streaming device, but instead uses remote play with the PlayStation 5, a feature the console giant has been pushing these last couple of weeks.
It's interesting. I also feel like I would believe these rumors because it would allow Sony to make a handheld that's relatively cheap to make, right? They don't have to make a handheld that's a portable console.
It doesn't have to be very smart. Doesn't have to have a lot of horsepower. Doesn't have to have a lot of horsepower.
And so
all it has to be is a really good screen and a really good controller.
So it was like the VR headset. Like there's a lot of complicated stuff in there that they have to spend a lot of money on. You wouldn't have to do this with this potential portable device.
Yep.
So I could see
all the heavy lifting is offboarded into the cloud.
So I could see them basically making this and putting it out there just as kind of an easy way to make a couple bucks, you know? Hey, it's a cheap cheap gadget, you could maybe, charge $100, $150 for it, make probably
Yeah,
a pretty
if
substantial
they
profit.
could make that thing and make it profitable and make the whole concept profitable with a very small amount of sales, they could do it.
Yeah. Whether or not it's be worth buying because
I'm
you're
not
still
gonna buy it.
streaming a game.
Don't even ask me where that fucking Steam Deck is. I have no idea where it's
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea where it's in the house somewhere.
Okay, if I come over and I find it, can I keep
No.
it?
No.
It's not like an Easter egg hunt. It's
No.
an Easter egg hunt. It's Easter Sunday. Come on.
No. No, that's not the case.
Dang.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not a fan of streaming anything and to something that I have to buy something for to stream it. Number one. Number two is handheld. I'm not a handheld game player. I don't have, if I'm out and about, I'm working. I come home to play games because I'm not working.
Ooh, AC Wraith has it right. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know.
That's true. You could come over and steal it and I would never know. I'd know eventually because I'd go looking for it and I'd go, it's in this house somewhere. And I would turn the house upside down and then not find it. I eventually figure out when people have stolen from a house.
Eventually.
Takes me a while. Takes me a while before I found out that my former housekeeper stole my entire collection of silver coins.
Oh.
Yeah. And I can guarantee you they were all, it was an entire collection of silver dollars. And I can guarantee you she stole that bag and used them as dollars. I can guarantee you. But they were pure silver dollars. And I went looking for them when silver was high. I'm like, I'm finally going to, I bought those for pretty cheap. I'm finally going to be able to sell them for, a profit. And I went looking for them and gone. Because I found the bag of the Canadian silver dollars, but I didn't find the American silver dollars.
Well, see, by the time you realize...
Eventually.
By the time you realize I've stolen your Steam Deck, I'll be in Canada by then.
Yeah. Spending my Canadian silver dollars, will you?
Yeah, I'll take both. I'll take both.
That's how you're going to pay to get over the border with my Canadian silver.
Just like a bag, drop it in the what is it, the Mounties' hands?
That's right.
I need change. I need passage. Here you go.
How many ducats? How many ducats do you want? Let me over the border. How much for the little girls?
Here's a tip.
Yeah. Yeah, but I didn't figure it. I didn't notice till about like a year and a half later. And she didn't became my ex housekeeper because she got fired from the company. And then she called me back and said, called me up and said, hey, I got fired for the company, but I really liked working for you. Will you take me? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm only going with the company. And then I found out, then I realized that all the cash was gone. I'm like, now I know why she got fired.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
streaming devices. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I can totally believe Sony putting it out. I don't believe it will be very successful.
No. I mean, it might be successful if they make it cheap enough. If they can make it cheaply enough and sell it for enough money.
True.
All right. Speaking of making things cheap, here is the shortest news item I have ever had in this ever. In fact, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 words. Ready?
Okay.
Civilization 6 is $5.99 on Steam until April 17th. That's my story.
Writes itself.
Yeah. 90% off. It's a really good deal. If you don't, I already have Civ 6, but if you don't have Civ 6, go to Steam and go buy it. It is not even arguably, it is the best strategy game on the market, bar none.
Do I have it?
Don't know. But if you don't, go buy it right now. It's never gonna be cheaper than this. Civ 5 What's the price of Civ 5 right now? Civ 5 is
Civ
like
5 is probably more.
like $25. And Civ 6 is $6.
Oh, I don't have Civ 6.
Go buy it now.
I must have Civ 5 then. I know I have one of them.
Probably.
Yes, I have 5.
Yeah. Go download Civ 6 right now. It's $5.99. It's never going to be cheaper. And you've never played Civ 5, have you?
No, I played Civ 5. I played a lot
really?
of Civ 5.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Now play a lot of Civ 6.
The game was great.
And I will end with my last item. Oh, did I not make a? No, I didn't. You go ahead. I have to make a banner.
Okay, I've
got another thing that's a strategy game thing.
I have a couple fun ones.
Okay.
Speaking of Steam games, so for April 1st, Sega put out a game on PC called The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's basically a short little visual novel in which you solve the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. It got overwhelmingly positive reviews.
Really?
I think it is now the 61st highest rated game on Steam, and is like one of the top 5 highest rated Sonic the Hedgehog games.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So this little thing that they put out as a joke on April Fools turned out to be just like blew up.
That's amazing.
And, like, the thing is, I have heard that it's really good and really fun.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it on Steam or is it?
It is. It's on Steam. It's free because it was an April 1st joke.
That's awesome. Well, this is not the first time that a game made as a joke has actually hit well. A Sneak King, Goat Simulator. Goat Simulator was like a tongue-in-cheek joke that they were made, and it took off instantly. There's been a number of like games like, oh yeah, we made this on a whim, and then next thing you know, it's like exploded.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the trailer. The trailer's pretty good.
Can you put it in full screen?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not that great to me. You sure? Does it go? It does not look like that's in full screen. It's not playing.
It is full screen for me.
It's not playing anything.
Oh.
It's black screen.
Maybe you can do it on Steam.
Yeah, because it brings up a pop-up window. You have to change the window.
No.
So bring up the pop-up window and then choose that window. Or I could just go to YouTube.
Yeah, just go to
watch
YouTube.
The trailer on YouTube. So that's what I'm going to do right now. What was it? Murder of Sonic Hedgehog.
Okay, cat is back.
All right, good. There's the launch trailer. Got it. And here we go. Here it is. I'm even going to unmute it. All right, we're adding it to the stream. Okay. This is very believable. Oh, awesome.
We have a full new direction for the franchise. We're excited to announce he's dead.
He's dead. That's awesome. I can absolutely see this being one of the best Sonic games ever.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in. Totally in on this. I may actually play that. It's a Steam game I might pick up.
Yes.
But another game that I will absolutely pick up, it is actually an expansion. This is my last item. Crusader Kings has announced, I should say Paradox has announced that Crusader King is about to get a new expansion. It is going to bring tournaments, tours, and grand weddings to games. Or to the Crusader Kings. So in this expansion, it's called Tours and Tournaments. You will be able to participate in mock battles in a jousting area. You can go out into the wilds instead of like being in your city the whole time and then just going to war. You can actually go for tours in the wilds in the kingdom. You can have falconry hunts, and you can hold a grand wedding. There's also going to be, when you go out on these tours, you can customize your route so that you can venture to specific places in your lands, and you can visit and interact with your vassals. You can inspect their holdings to make sure that they're paying you the correct amount of taxes and they're not skimming a little off the top. You can give them gifts, you can rewards them. You can also have tax collectors that can go out in your stead to vassals that you don't want to go visit, and have them inspect their lands to make sure that they're paying you the correct amount. With the tournaments, you can join contests and win prizes, kind of like a Bannerlord, that kind of thing. You will also gain new skills and new experience. You can host a tournament, which is always, which would be a good thing for you, for your for your kingdom, for your reputation. You can also plan that in the case of the grand weddings, you can negotiate beneficial prenuptial pacts, which is, you can already like marry off your children for alliances, but this will allow you to go even deeper to negotiate specific pacts with other rulers for the marriage. And yeah, prenuptial stuff. And you can also please your courtly vessels and gain favors during these new ceremonies, which, favors are always important to have. Other activities that are going to be involved in this is going to be bestowing your knights with honors, which will allow these nobles to specialize, or well, you can also allow your nobles to specialize in either politics or military warfare. And you can train them in tournaments before you send them to war, so they will actually be very good. You can actually improve your knights. So yeah, it's going to be available on May 11th. So May 12th, I will be streaming nonstop for at least 3 months. Because that's
cool.
me. That's what I do. I'm so looking forward to this. I've been thinking about Crusader Kings. Like, I really want to go back, but I also kind of don't. Like, I don't want to say I've done it all. It's still a fun game, but I needed a little something more to keep me going. I needed
a little bit of new stuff,
a
right?
little bit of spice to go with the meatball.
You've done a lot of it, but like you've played a lot of it, and you're like, I don't want to
Lot of it.
just do the same thing again. And this is
Right.
that little dash of something new to just keep you coming back.
Yep. Exactly. So I'm super excited. And once again, this is how you do a game. This is how you do a game. You just keep expanding it and making it more awesome.
No, what they haven't announced yet
Vicky,
is that if you want to play the tournaments, you have to buy Civ Crusader Kings again.
Or you have to buy Crusader Kings again, and then you have to buy Crusader Kings 4.
Yeah.
It's a bundle.
In fact, you have to buy all 4 of the games if you want access to the tournaments.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, Paradox, once again, it owns me. It used to be BioWare, but not so much anymore. It used to be Bethesda, not so much anymore. Right now, Paradox, you're my only hope.
We'll see. Hey, Starfield might bring back Bethesda.
AC Ray says, I may have a grand strategy game recommendation. Shadows of the Forbidden Gods is still in early access, but has a lot of content. You play a dark god trying to awaken and bring on the apocalypse. I will have to be in a very bad mood when I do that. All right. Actually, that sounds kind of cool.
Shadow of
the Forbidden Gods. How much is that?
It is $20 so far.
Evil God cult strategy game. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
All right.
Put that on my wish list to check that out.
Yeah, we have just gone from just tired to caffeinated and tired to now exhaustion.
Oh, is this the crash?
I'm officially like the brain has turned into sponge.
Okay. Well, I think
Word will start to become difficult for me.
I've only got like a couple new ones. The other one I had that we could potentially talk about was
Mhm.
like more of a tangentially related to games that would just be interesting. But for games, I've only got one fun thing left,
Alright.
and that is the free Epic Games this month. Oh, really fucking good.
Yeah, I saw that. I want to know what that is because
First
yeah.
of all, it's Dying Light 1.
Okay.
Oh, can we bring that up? Anyways, Dying Light 1 is available until I think it's like the 12th or the 15th, or something like that.
Mhm.
And then from the 10th onward is Mordhau, which I wanted to mention for you because Mordhau is basically a chivalry-like game.
Mhm.
But it's only for PC, and Mordhau is like what got me interested in that. I initially bought Chivalry because it looked like Mordhau. And yeah, I've just heard it's a really fun, cool version of that kind of leans into the physics-based swinging, except you're using a mouse this time because it's only available on PC. So that
That's
gives
true.
it a bit of a trickier attempt for it.
Mhm. I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, this looks familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've seen this before. Oh man, you know what I want to do? I'm just at that level of exhaustion where I want to play Chivalry. Like seeing that, it just makes me like you're at that level of exhaustion that is equal to like being just a little bit drunk. So you're not making the best decisions, and all I want to do right now is just play Chivalry.
Vice it responds like, "Ooh, Mordhau is very good."
Very positive on Steam with 89,000 reviews. And
Yes.
Vice says, "Oh, Mordhouse is okay, good. All right."
It's funny you mentioned. I was looking at my PlayStation last night, and I was like, "Okay, I finished Atomic Heart. I want to start something else. I don't want to quite get into Mountain Blade, Bannerlord just yet."
Really? I would do that with you. I want to do
Well,
that with you.
well, I would play it on the Xbox because it's on Game Pass.
Play it on the Xbox with
But I
you
was
if
just like,
that's the case.
I was like, oh, I don't know. What should I do? And I realized, oh, I've got a Horizon Forbidden West. I bought that a while ago.
Mm.
So I'm like, I'm going to install this and play it. It ended up taking a long time to install, and that's why I played John Wick Hex.
Mhm.
But as I was doing that, I was like, I should free up some space on the PlayStation.
And you
so
threw away.
and I went and I was like, okay, what should I delete? One of the first games on that list is Chivalry. And I looked at that and thought, nope.
Nope.
You're staying. You're staying.
Yep, that's a game that perpetually stays there.
Mm-hmm. I want the ability to play you whenever I want.
Yeah. The thing is about, and I don't know if this is what it is with Mordhau and why Chivalry is so awesome, is it is a game where death to me has no meaning. Like you're not like if you go into Battlefield and you die like 10 times in a row without killing someone, you're upset, it bothers you. When you play Chivalry, you do not care. It's like how silly a death can you make? It's almost like the less people you kill, the better. Like, oh, I spawned and immediately fell off the wall. Or I spawned into fire. Oh, well.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, when I saw that both Dying Light and Mordhau were available, I was like, I need to bring this up because this is really cool.
Yeah. It's a bit, watching that game is a bit like watching drunk toddlers.
Drunk toddlers play with knives.
Drunk toddlers playing with knives. Yeah, it's like lining up a bunch of drunk toddlers and and giving them swords and then just watching them fight each other. It's just fun.
That's how the baby Tesla thing works. You give a baby a knife.
The baby shaped sponge, right? Exactly, Basie Wraith. Remember the baby shaped sponge. Babies are the best things to wash your Tesla with.
You just take a bunch of knives, stick
Damn it,
them
I really should
inside
wash
the
the
baby
Tesla.
sponge.
I really should wash the Tesla.
So wait, how do you wash it if you can't? Do you have to like go to a place and get it hand washed?
No, you can, but I don't do it. There is this thing, believe it or not, that is and it is like, this is how they say that every car should be washed. It is stuff that's called no rinse, and it is no rinse way to wash your car. And you need to buy some tools, some specific tools like a grit guard, and you have to have like a bucket, and it's like 5 gallons of water, and that's all it takes to wash your car because you don't rinse it. But you have to be, so it's kind of nice if you don't my Tesla's on the street. I don't have to like get it in, get a hose. All I have to do is just fill up a bucket with 2.5 gallons of water, and 2.5 gallons of water, and I will be able to wash my Tesla. Which I love the idea of not spending a lot of water washing my car.
Yeah, that's a cool thing.
Yeah. What is that stuff called? I will let you know what it's like, what it does, because I got it. It is not cheap.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is like alarmingly expensive.
Okay, so
that
what you save in water, you spend in cash.
No. It's like a lot of things. There it is. It's called Optimum No Rinse. I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, this is the stuff. And it is crazy stupid expensive to buy the bottle. But the bottle, I can take the banner off. The bottle apparently lasts years. But like, where's the price on it? No, stop it. Stop. The price of it is like $21 for 32 ounces.
Oh, okay.
A gallon of it is like $50. But it will, 32 ounces. I've seen, seen videos where they're like, okay, 32 ounces. I've had my car Tesla for 5 years. I have washed it no more than 2 weeks between, and it's not even down to the top like rim right here. It's not even like past this rim, like where the label is.
Okay, when you said
it takes a capful. It takes.
I was expecting like a couple $100.
No, it's a capful.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, and then there's
it costs
spray
$50
like
to get your car washed like by hand when you go somewhere.
Yeah, and there's like a spray rinse that is also very expensive, but spray coating afterwards that you put on that they say is amazing, but that stuff is expensive. It was like a tiny little bottle with $70, but again, it takes like 10 or 15 sprays for the entire car.
Okay.
So it's a big investment at the front end, but then once it's done, once you've made that investment in all the equipment and you keep all the equipment clean, then it's fine.
Nice says nighty.
Nighty night, Vice.
Going to sleep.
Yeah.
Night.
No, I am. He can already see it.
Oh, you are.
No, I think he's going to sleep. I mean, it's late there.
Well, good
it's only 8 o'clock.
Too.
It's 7 o'clock, 7:30. What do you mean nighty night?
I don't know. We have listeners all over the world. I don't know what time zone they're living in.
Vice, I believe, is in Central.
Okay.
There I guess. Edie washes car in front of her yard during neighbor leave return time so she can tell them she bought a Tesla. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Edie. What are you doing?
I'm washing my Tesla.
My Tesla.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. Why do you have a baby?
Whose baby is that?
Yeah.
Nobody. Yeah. Thank you for the link of Optimum Rinse, no rinse, wash, and shine. Yeah, apparently that's the shit. I will let you know. I might go do it. I mean, it takes like it'll take like 20 minutes, but it's also really sunny. No, I'm not going to do it. Welcome to my brain. We just had a loop. All right. Anything else before I close out the show?
No. There's an interesting article that Blood Reaper linked us to in Discord that I saw before we started the show, but I haven't had a chance to read it. But it sounds interesting. It's about FaZe Clan, which was an esports team that apparently went public.
Yes.
I don't even know how that's possible, but apparently,
Sold,
like
yeah,
the
sold
stock
stock in it. Mhm.
sank like a rock,
Oh,
and is now
instantly.
like worth a penny.
Yep.
So much, I guess Snoop Dogg was like an initial investor, and he's now trying to get out, or he's left the company.
Well, Snoop Dogg, when they went public, they announced that Snoop Dogg was an investor. And the most Snoop Dogg ever did in, what was it, like a year and a half, 2 years, is he took a picture with a necklace, a FaZe Clan necklace like that. And then since then, nobody even seen Snoop Dogg. Yeah, no, FaZe Clan has very much had its problems.
I didn't even
And
know a team could do that.
yeah, it's
Like,
just a
go
business. You could go, any business could go public. GameHounds could go public if we wanted
but
to.
it's not a business, it's a sports
Yes, it
team.
is. Yes, it is.
But it's not a
The same way that a baseball team is a business.
Yeah, but I can't buy stock in the Chicago Bears.
No, but if the Chicago Bears was public, yes, you could. The Green Bay Packers is owned by the city of Green Bay.
Okay.
And
But that doesn't make it a business, it's a team.
Okay, baseball, for example, San Francisco Giants. San Francisco
Yeah.
Giants is owned by a bunch of guys, but people bought the team. They're all partners. This just makes it the partners like bigger. You could
Okay,
absolutely make a baseball
Hmm.
team a public
Make it
entity.
from
You
that
can make any
perspective.
company public and sell shares in it. Absolutely, no question. You could do that.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah. What did you think? Why that
I
it was a
don't know.
requirement for becoming public?
Well, sure. I just didn't think like a sports team, a competition team would be something that you make public with stocks and stuff. It
You
just
could.
it seems so weird.
So capitalistic.
It's okay. It seems like the mind of capitalism, where like a capitalist just got high and it's like, fuck, dude, what if we bought stock in sports teams?
If a sports team went public, you could absolutely buy stock in it.
And I guess it makes
But
sense that they go
there's
up
upsides.
and down.
There's
and all that.
upsides and downsides to that. The people that own the most amount of stock would instantly become very, very rich, very, very quickly.
If the team did well.
Even if the team didn't do well, initially they would probably make a lot of money, and it would be the investors and the price that would determine what the value of the company is on the day that it's sold. That being said, from there on out, the value of the company would vary day to day, and
Yeah, I guess
ultimate control of the company doesn't lie in the hands of the people running the company. That's why they don't sell.
So then would it like in the same way investors elect a board of directors, would the stockholders like elect a coach?
The stockholders would elect a board of directors. The board of directors would hire the coach and fire the coach and the manager. Absolutely. Same thing. It's like hiring and firing a CEO. The board of directors hires and fires the CEO. It's the same concept.
Man,
The manager of the team is the CEO.
If you thought sports was toxic now, just wait until fans were literally invested in the team.
Oh, speaking of pissing, I don't know why that just got me into it about CEOs and pissing people off and toxic. Did you hear what happened with the whole Dungeons and Dragons movie and about how it pissed off the Dungeons and Dragons community, which is already pissed off at Hasbro?
No.
First off,
I don't know where you're getting all this negative news about the movie.
I will take you to it. One of the biggest things that is pissing people off is that at the end of the movie, if you sit through the credits, it says, based on the game Dungeons and Dragons by Hasbro. Dungeons and Dragons fans were not okay with that for obvious reasons. Hasbro didn't make Dungeons and Dragons. Gary Gygax and the other guy made Dungeons and Dragons. They're kind of legends. That's like saying Apple made by, I don't know, Tim Cook. No, he didn't. He didn't make Apple. He didn't make the first Apple. You just happen to be running Apple right now. So, so yeah, that is. I'm gonna show you where I'm catching all of this, because you and I are clearly watching. Well, you probably are not watching the same things I'm watching, but I watch a lot of YouTubes of the other news and like esoteric community news, because I want to take the temperature from different channels of like how things are, especially Dungeons and Dragons, because I am not a game player. I am not in touch with the community, but those members of the community that have podcasts or have YouTube channels are happy to like keep people posted about what's going on and explain it. And what is that guy's name? Here's a DM. And I'm not looking for the movie thing. It is this guy. It's a channel called Dungeon Craft. And I will pull it up so that you can see about, let's see. Case in point. This is one of the his Dungeons and Dragons review of the movie.
Did he hate it too?
Oh, God.
Did he?
Yeah. Review and box office analysis of Dungeons and Dragons. Professor DM reviews Dungeons and Dragons Honor Monthly, analyzes the film's underwhelming box office performance with let's see if I can go back to the thumbnail, if you can see what the thumbnail is.
Really underwhelming.
Review and box office. See how Wizards of the Coast sabotaged its own movie with a grocer's apostrophe in the it's. Yeah. And that was like where it said it was made by Hasbro, and he's like, that was the ultimate insult to any fan. Like, we're not happy with Wizards of the Coast right now. We have a detente. We're still pissed. And then of course this movie comes out. It's not very good. He says a lot of the stuff actually breaks canon. And even the CGI is not very good in his opinion for a lot of the things. But ultimately, the final fuck you is based on Dungeons and Dragons by Hasbro.
Okay. I know this guy is like, looks like a 50-year-old white guy, but I feel like he's got the inner child of a 13-year-old troll.
He does. No. He's a really good DM. He actually
I'm sure he does.
He has his own Dungeon Craft is the name of his own tabletop game.
I'm sure, but it sounds like it breaks lore. It's like, well,
watch it before you say anything. Watch the review.
Okay, I will. It just sounds like the nitpicky, like, oh, they didn't rest. How did they use these spells multiple times in a row without resting?
No, not that. You're reading stuff into it. That's not what he means. I am not a Dungeons and Dragons player. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons expert. I just know that a lot of stuff comes up on my feed from the Dungeons and Dragons experts that I do listen to, who have, especially when the Wizards of the Coast stuff came down with the
Oh sure, yes, like all that.
A lot of those are showing up on my feed now because I was researching, and
I
all
find
of them
it
are like
so weird that like your entire social circle and media circle is like, this movie sucks. Meanwhile, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes and like 94% in user reviews. So it wasn't just like critics that love it. It was users too.
Watch the review. Watch the review and tell me where you disagree, because obviously, I mean, this is, I'm seeing one segment of the population, and I'm interested to know what other segments of the population think. What other segments of the population might think about that argument. Oh, my Safeway order is about to arrive, so we gotta wrap this up. Anything else before we end the show, Nick?
No.
All right, then. Let's close this out. You've been listening to GameHounds. GameHounds episode 675. We recorded this on Sunday, Easter Sunday, April 9th, 2023. I've been Edie Sellers. With me has been Nick Nicola. Ways to get a hold of us. GameHounds.net is our website. GameHounds@gmail.com is our email. We record this show live every Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube, we're GameHounds Vids. Twitch, we are the GameHounds. Please, if you haven't already hit a like and subscribe, please do so. And of course, look for us on iTunes as GameHounds Podcast on iTunes, Audible, wherever. And of course, don't forget our Discord. We are Patreon sponsored. Thank you so much to our patrons. We appreciate you because you're the one that keeps the lights on here. Thank you to our patrons, Tour of the Weech, Peter Camel, Eric Baker, Anonymous Piss, Andy H. Thank you very much. And if you would like to be a patron, we would appreciate it. $1 a month is all we ask. Very good deal, but you help just pay for the stuff that keeps us going. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye. And I'm out because the person is at the door. My Instacart with my groceries is at the door. Everybody, have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.